Hey everyone, welcome back. So, you know how you can transfer all your old phone's data to your shiny new one? Well, some scientists are dreaming even bigger. They think the information in your brain could be transferred, either partially or completely, to a USB stick, or even another brain. In this video, we're diving headfirst into the mind-blowing possibility of creating a version of immortality by backing up the human mind. Immortality. It's one of humanity's oldest desires, right? But here's the kicker. Medical advancements pretty much confirm that our physical bodies are programmed to kick the bucket after a century or so. Back in 1961, a guy named Leonard Hayflick discovered that all normal human cells divide only about 40 to 60 times before they decide to call it quits and age away. We now lovingly call this the Hayflick limit. And let's be real. You can't build an eternal house if your bricks aren't eternal, can you? But don't despair. This doesn't mean humans can't become immortal. It just means you gotta look at it a different way. Many folks believe we're actually two parts, body and mind. So if we could just uncouple the mind from the body, poof! No more Hayflick limit, no more ticking time bomb on the squishy container holding our consciousness. Imagine this. You're cleaning out your house and stumble upon an old hard drive. Turns out it's got 1 million Bitcoins you forgot about from 2009. As of July 10th, 2025, that's today, folks, 1 Bitcoin is worth over $110,000. So, boom, you're suddenly the 19th most handsome person in the world with $110 billion. But then, out of nowhere, the hospital calls. Terminal cancer. 3 months to live. You're about to despair, but then you remember, $110 billion. You immediately contact the Earth's top server doctors to buy some immortality. They all shake their heads, except for one. This shady-looking doc pulls out a USB stick and says, "I'll copy your brain onto this USB, sir. Not only will you live forever, but you can also return and relive your life at your prime anytime you want. Just plug this USB in, hit download, and install." Boom! You're done! Sounds pretty awesome, right? This is just a fun scenario that Facts 5 Minutes cooked up to help you visualize one of the applications of brain uploading technology, or mind uploading. Exactly as it sounds, it's the process of digitizing the brain, every memory, emotion, experience, and personality trait, then transferring all that data to a computer or robot. That way, your mind can live on even after your physical body has, expired. Futurists believe this could extend human life or even achieve digital immortality. Other uses for mind uploading? Creating permanent backups. These digital minds could be loaded into supercomputers to pilot interstellar spacecraft, searching for life beyond Earth. These USB astronauts could squeeze into tiny Gram-light spaceships, like a starship. They wouldn't be affected by the vacuum of space, microgravity, or deadly cosmic radiation, allowing for expeditions of unlimited duration. Unlimited meaning until the ship breaks, of course. Or, closer to home, minds living in computers could become humanity's last legacy after a global catastrophe. A bit more optimistically, uploaded human intelligences would function like supercomputers themselves, thinking faster and becoming vastly more intelligent than their original owners. A system of connected uploaded brains could accelerate technology exponentially, perhaps even reaching the ultimate peak of technology known as the technological singularity. But here's the burning question. That's the idea. But what about reality? Uploading a brain. Not easy, folks. In fact, it's so hard that many consider it the ultimate final boss of neuroscience and neuroinformatics. Neuroscientists believe that the most important functions of the mind, like learning, memory, and consciousness, are due to purely physical and electrochemical processes in the brain, governed by known and understood laws of physics, chemistry, and biology. So why hasn't anyone copied it to a USB stick yet? In the past, scientists have tried to simulate parts of the human brain. Based on these simulations, they estimated that if Moore's law continued to hold true, we'd have enough computing power to upload an entire human mind in a few decades. But there's a catch. Moore's law predicts that chip computing power doubles every 2 years. It's been true since 1975, but since 2010, microprocessor power seems to have stopped keeping up. In other words, it looks like we're hitting the limits of computing power. But that doesn't mean humanity will never have enough computing power to upload the human brain. Because honestly, nobody really knows how much we'll ultimately need. We just know it's going to be absolutely massive. You've probably heard that the human brain has 86 billion neurons. Each neuron can have up to thousands, even 15,000 connections with surrounding brain cells, creating a super complex network of over a quadrillion connections inside your skull. Just the cerebral cortex, that wrinkly outer part of your brain, contains 125 trillion synapses. That's equivalent to the number of stars in 1/1500 galaxies like our Milky Way. And that's just the tip of the iceberg if you want to copy a mind. To accurately recreate a brain, we'd need to precisely simulate nearly 100 billion neurons and a quadrillion connections between them. The problem? Each individual neuron is an incredibly complex and powerful biological supercomputer. You can't just assign it an X, a Y, or a 0 or 1 and call it a day. To digitize just one neuron, you'd need to simulate the structure and function of hundreds of trillions of atoms, trillions of particles that make up that neuron, as well as all the rules governing how each particle interacts. This job would require computers trillions of times larger and more powerful than anything we have today. According to pages 80 and 81 of a 130-page study from 2008, talk about light reading, to simulate a molecular model of a brain, including the position and random behavior of every single molecule that makes up that brain, we'd need about 10 to 43 flops of processing power and about 38.8 trillion terabytes of memory. That's equivalent to 78 trillion iPhone 16s, 512 gigabytes version. In case you're still stuck on the 10 to 43 flops part, that's 8 quintillion times more computing power than the world's most powerful supercomputer, Frontier. Frontier costs $600 million, has over 600,000 CPU cores, over 8 million GPU cores, takes up 680 square meters, and guzzles nearly 23 million watts of electricity. And it only meets one part in 8 quintillion of the computing power required to simulate the brain at a molecular level. Mind-boggling, right? Another way to cram a brain onto a USB? Take a picture of it. Back in 2010, researchers at Stanford University School of Medicine successfully photographed synapses from a section of a mouse brain. To do that, they sliced an incredibly thin layer of mouse cortex. This brain slice was only 70 nanometers thick, which is like 700 hydrogen atoms stacked side by side. The brain slice was then stained with an antibody to emit different colors. The final product, which you're seeing on screen, is not only beautiful, but also reveals a rather depressing truth. The brain, once again, is 1,000 times more complex than we ever imagined. Each synapse, each colored dot you see on the screen, which we used to think was just a simple on-off switch, turns out to be a microprocessor, a tiny biological chip with both information processing and memory functions. What's more, synapses do have switches, about 1,000 switches per synapse. All told, a complete human brain has more switches than all the computers, routers, and internet connections on Earth combined. In other words, your brain alone is more massive than the entire internet.
Wow.
So, in summary, simulating a brain or digitizing the mind is a crazy, bizarre idea. But precisely because of that, it currently remains entirely in the realm of science fiction. Facts 5 Minutes will be back with the latest updates. If you loved the idea of copying your brain to a USB, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell to catch all our sci-fi content. For now, goodbye, and see you next time.